it's your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. I'd like to dive in and focus in on a kind of a new topic, something interesting, and that is really what I would consider perhaps pre-relationship advice. Pre-relationship advice, in other words, what should you look for in a relationship? What should you look for in a partner? What should you look for in a friend or a workplace? And after experiencing narcissistic or psychopathic relationships, I find that people are not operating on full throttle. They're not operating on their full confidence. They're not operating in their full receptive, best aligned state. They're going through a lot of conflicts. They're going through a lot of conflict consciousness. They're engaging in a lot of self-doubt, self-questioning. And then also a lot of, financial recovery, where this person, who they were involved with is taking advantage of them, or has, stolen things from them, has stolen their identity, or smeared their identity through their workplace or their family. And it's really, how to restore that back, how do you look at really starting new relationships and re-engaging in the self-trust, the self-belief, and the faith as a whole, autonomous, industrious individual who is productive and contributory and will not be taken advantage of. So I think that's very important to realize the distinction between the feeling of, needing to or wanting to belong with a narcissist or a psychopath, or really kind of, accepting yourself and really having a sense of belonging with the whole of life and really getting back to what I'm going to call the big picture. The narcissist or psychopath will engage in relationship patterns that are designed to suit their best interests. Their best interests are generally the ways that you are to feed their ego, and that you furthermore are devoiding of yourself or self-negating in the relationship. And a lot of people enter into this because of, I would say, the feeling of the need to be supportive of others, the need to, the satisfaction of being able to take care of others. Chances are you're extremely effective in taking care of other people. And, you've engaged in a lot of altruistic or empathic relationship patterns, where altruistic meaning like the Mother Teresa, having none of this, no possessions, just she went and was like living her life to heal and bring awareness to the poverty of others. Well, realize that you will become really those people who you surround yourself with until the pain is great enough and you ultimately have to make a change. And if you are with oftentimes these highly narcissistic or psychopathic individuals, there's a falseness or a mask about them, which creates a lot of pressure, or the perception of pressure, which then a lot of people internalize and engage in a lot of this very high maintenance or high anxiety or depressive or hollowed out sort of lifestyle. So I think it's very important to realize that there is something in place which you should attend to, basically, which I'm going to call the healed lifestyle. Because the wounded lifestyle oftentimes engages in a lot of anxiety, control, perfectionism, always have to be perfect, always to live up to someone else's standards, someone else's values, someone else's needs, versus knowing and living and being in tune and in touch with your own needs, your own healed lifestyle, your own true lifestyle, which might be one that is more simple, which engages in a certain other appreciation of life, music, art, fabrics, foods, things which are truly nurturing and healthy for you, versus a pretend narcissistic lifestyle where you have to overextend yourself. You have to over-obligate yourself. You can't say no. You have to become a doer when you're perhaps a little bit more, content on your own. You need to come to a state of relaxation and really begin to kind of relax into your own body and accept your own body. And what I would say, basically, rather than playing their game of, needing to feed their ego, learn to play the game of your inner life. Realize and tune into your inner life, your need to feel happy, content, comfortable. Engage in things like meditative walks, adventures or vacations for yourself, or with nurturing or support of others, where you're breaking free and unplugging from the narcissistic, high maintenance relationship that requires so much of you to be supportive of, encouraging of them without being encouraging and supportive of yourself simultaneously, because healthy and functioning relationships will have that as an element and an ingredient. So in terms of looking forward, I think it's very important to be conditioned by a vision of your future. Because, if the pain has been great enough and you have had to really overextend yourself for others, and, you're living in that anxiety, realize that the intuition, the vagus nerve, which is that gut feeling, if you're, if you learn to pay more attention to that sort of instinctual drive, learn to pay attention to that inner voice. I need relaxation. I need a peaceful day off. I need a drive to the country. I just want to take a walk. I want to fill up that inner reservoir. I want to fill up that inner void with good feelings. And whether that's, through a movie, whether that's through meditation, whether that's through comforting music, 432 Hertz, something very soothing, the drumming music, the waterfalls, the natural sounds, things that more attune you energetically to the natural rhythms of life versus plugging into the fabricated needs of the narcissist or psychopath can be very healing for you. And furthermore, at looking at relationships, through the filter of new eyes now that you have, after perhaps doing some of your healing work, realize that, you want to be with people who are positive and positive energy and don't have that same egotistical drive. People who are perhaps more simple, who have a simple smile, who have a simple embrace. Situations where you can learn and receive knowledge, where you can now begin to receive and not feel guilty. Looking at relationships which are more about a certain type of activity now that is more healthy to you versus unhealthy. I have a lot of people who've come to me. The individual in their life who has been harmful has engaged in a lot of drinking, alcoholism, or retreating into some sort of other area of their life, or always kind of very avoidant, always away, traveling. They're not there for them emotionally, physically, etc. And, there's been a wound and a deficit and a hurt that has been scarred into their life. So, realize that there are certain activities which are not healthy for you. The overextending of yourself emotionally, physically, financially for this situation is not healthy. It does not lead to homeostasis and balance. And, that intuition, which is that gut, can cause a lot of these stomach issues because the vagus nerve, which is, part of the central nervous system and leads you to that inner feeling and kind of directs you towards the positive, or also steers you away from danger, oftentimes has been shut down because the ego is trying to override it. The ego, to feed the narcissist, had, you had caused that to override your inner instinct. And basically now has gotten you into trouble. So realize that, okay, it is okay to admit, there was a mistake here. This is what got us into trouble. Learn to identify it. Learn to really, really get a handle on the lesson learned. And learn to never go there again with this type of person, with this type of behavior, with this type of thought pattern, this sort of emotional pattern. Realize that that is what caused the problem. And, it's once you really get that, you have to really beginning to accept it and have commitment to change, and no longer engaging in relationships with that type of individual thought pattern or emotional pattern. And realizing, okay, then on the other hand, what is the solution? Where do you find true happiness, true peace? Where do you find your true interests? Where have you now furthermore opened up where you could explore? Do you have a love of painting? Do you have a love of music? Are you interested in other cultures, other religions? Do you like to read romance novels? Do you like to read biographies? Do you like to read about animals, plants, geography, maps? Maybe, you're interested in cooking. Could you learn more about health? Can you learn more about, exercise or yoga or fitness or, walking? Can you engage in other crafts or hobbies that are important to you? Do you like photography? Can you go out and take some beautiful pictures and create a collage for yourself? Can you write affirmations for yourself? Can you write them out 100 times and write them out 200 times, 1,000 times, so they finally, can you write out your lessons learned 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, to the point where you really get it? You have that self-trust. You have that self-faith. You have that inner knowing and that confidence, and then you have that self-protection in place. So you're able to see through healed eyes and steer you away from danger. Realize that if you had, thrown yourself to the wolves or the psychopath or the violators and perpetrators, that you're no longer engaging in that behavior anymore. You are now, drawing the line, and you're attending to new areas of life. So what are new areas of life that you can tap into and then find new relationships through the positive filter, through the qualifications that the person must have empathy, they must be kind, they must be gentle, they must not be an egomaniac, they must not be into drama, that they must not be into quick fix, that they must not be into me taking care of them, they must not be into me trying to shell out my life savings for them every time we get together. That I'm trying to figure out, am I going to have to tap into my 401k just to keep this relationship going? These are the sort of things that you need to now reevaluate for your pre-relationship mindset. And I'm definitely not encouraging you to get into a relationship too soon. Look at, relationships or settings or workshops or groups that you can get together in and just be your individual self. Allow yourself to receive, before you go trying to reconnect with others so quickly, because oftentimes that can create more damage and harm than good. And realize, now the new qualities that you're looking for, and write them out. Become aware of those, become knowledgeable of those. And really, it's almost like pre-relationship planning. So, I desire someone who is kind, empathetic, these things. And if you can write that out 10 times, 100 times, and just know it, basically your body will begin to know it and identify it moving forward. So you will have that self-trust versus that self-violation entering into your new relationships and your new situations in your future. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.